Okie dokie. Hello, everybody. If y'all can hear me, go ahead and type yes in the chat real quick for me, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Perfect. Love when my audio works. Okie dokie. Well, welcome to our first installment of the ZagTalk 101 Summer Webinar Series. My name is Anna Sanford, and I'm the current Office Coordinator for Parent and Family Relations and Office of New Student and Family Programs here at Gonzaga. I'll be hosting the Q&A portion of this webinar later on. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that we do have live transcriptions available for today's webinar. There should be a CC button at the bottom of your Zoom window that you can click to enable subtitles if you would like. So today I'm joined by two members of Student Financial Services, Samantha Scott, the Associate Director of Student Accounts, and Louisa Diana, the Associate Director of Financial Aid. Following their presentation, we'll have a quick Q&A session. If you have any questions during or after the presentation, go ahead and type them in the chat below. We ask that you remain muted during the presentation and throughout the Q&A. If you'd like to rewatch this webinar, a link to the recording will be sent out via our communications portal within the next couple of days. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off and hand things over to Samantha and Louisa.
Thank you so much, Anna. Okay, Louisa, I'm going to start everything off. I have a little PowerPoint presentation I'd like to share. Let's see if this actually works. Can you all still see my screen or everything? Perfect. Sounds great. So brief overview. Yes, I'm Samantha Scott. I work in the Student Accounts Office here at Gonzaga University. That's part of our Student Financial Services department. We are located in the Crosby building on campus, which if you've toured campus, there's a beautiful statue of Bing Crosby in front playing golf, holding the golf club, his standard statue there. But he actually donated the funds for the building as a library back in the 60s, I want to say. So we've been fortunate enough to move into the lower level of Crosby now, and we're all together as one group. But that is where you would find us. So brief overview, like I said, these are the departments that are within our department, our division. Student accounts is my area, and I work with students for billing and payment. Financial aid, Louisa Diana, she'll be the next person up speaking. And then student employment. So employment opportunities for students on and off campus, we would be the people to call. So if you see, I've put our contact information, each of us, it's pretty much our office name at gonzaga.edu. That's our email addresses. Or we do have this link here, gonzaga.edu/appointments. If you have some really intricate questions you want to ask about your student, your family, your financial well-being at Gonzaga, if you will, we'd be happy to work with you more individually as one-to-one in an appointment setting. So if you want to write that down, it'll be part of the recording as well, but gonzaga.edu/appointments, it's actually only for student financial services. So if you go to that website, you can schedule a time with any of our areas, which is great. More drilled down into what is student accounts. We are the office that does the billing, payment, anything remotely about tuition, room, and board. So any of the fees that are associated with registration, as well as the tuition, any housing or meal plan charges, we are the office that prepares a billing statement for you and your student. And what that looks like is it's actually a digital bill that we present on our e-commerce site, CashNet. There is a lot of different variations of CashNet across campus. Different departments collect fees for like the Kennel Club, different clubs and stuff pay through CashNet, but CashNet on our side, students access through their Gonzaga portal called ZagWeb. So students go in through ZagWeb, they have a dedicated entryway through ZagWeb where they authenticate and get in and do all that stuff. They can actually set up other people to be able to log into CashNet to view their bills as well. The link here that I've addressed is the authorized payer access, gonzaga.edu/setup payer account. That gives them step-by-step instructions on how to grant access to other people. So if they're not the ones paying, they would probably need to make sure that's updated before we send the fall billing statements out. So I would highly recommend that your students get on and set up the authorized payer accounts right away if they haven't already done so. There's been some information and correspondence in emails and with admissions about taking care of the authorized payer side of things. So like I said, at this point, it's not too late. They can still do it. They can do it their entire time here at the university. They can also rescind access. So if there's, too many people on their account, or if someone's not responsible to pay anymore, they can go in and update those permissions if they need to. So make sure that they know how to set up access, how to reset your password, how to do all of that. You can find that on our website. CashNet is an e-commerce site, so we bill there, but we do also collect payments. So on there, we offer a few different options for payment and payment arrangements, which will be on the next slide. But to use the CashNet site, you can pay directly through their system with a banking account or a savings account from your bank, or you can pay with a credit card or a debit card. So the only thing to remember with the credit or the debit card is they're going to treat it as a credit card and charge you a service fee, which is 2.75% to pay with a card. If it is linked, if it's a debit card and it's just straight from your checking, if you enter your bank account number and your routing number, you can actually avoid the fee. So good to know, if you're paying from your checking account, treat it as an electronic check or just a payment from your bank account so that you can make sure you don't have to pay that additional service fee. Otherwise, credit card fees, there's a 2.75% fee to pay with a card. So the next important thing I wanted to share with everyone is the dates. So fall semester is coming up. We are presently reviewing all of the charges for students and making sure all the fees are set up before we start fall billing, but incoming freshmen are still getting registered as we speak with the academic advising and assistance office. So until we have the majority of our student population registered, we wait to send our bills until the middle of July, which is when most students by that point are pretty much registered for fall, and we feel like we have an adequate bill to present to you. So right around July 15th is when I anticipate we'll be able to bill for the fall term. That being said, once it's out there, an email is going to go out to the students automatically. They can't get away from us. We notify them to their Gonzaga email that the bill is ready. And then any authorized payers that they've set up at that point, they also get notified. So everyone will be notified when the bills are available. The payment arrangement of either paying in full or setting up a payment arrangement if you need to do payments, et cetera, that's August 10th. So July 15th is when we plan to bill. Your payment or a payment arrangement deadline is August 10th. So a little shy of a month, but that gives you hopefully enough time to coordinate with our office or with your bank or whoever if you need to send a payment on your student's behalf. Kind of the same timeline for spring. We'll bill right around the beginning to the middle of December, and then the payments will actually be due January 3rd. So those are our big timeframes. Another feature on the authorized payer account site is to grant you access to the 1098-T forms. We mail a physical bill at the end of every year as a receipt for tuition and fees paid during the academic year. So that we present, that's what we send to the IRS basically as a receipt for tuition we've received. Students will get that physically mailed to them. They're going to have access in ZagWeb, and they'll also have it in CashNet. So when they set up your authorized payer account, they can also grant you access. So when you go to actually pay or fill out your taxes next year, if you need access to the 1098-T form, they can set up that access on your behalf. Also in CashNet is the opportunity to set up refunds. So right now, the standard practice is to issue students a physical check for whatever reason. If there's an overpayment, if their financial award is in excess of their tuition and fees, we would physically cut them a check to return that to the student. There is an opportunity to set up direct deposit, which is that website that I have listed on there, the e-refund. Everything is gonzaga.edu/e-refund. So that's the quick link to get you to the instructions. Students are the only ones that can set it up though. So when they log into CashNet, they can link a bank account on their account. They just go and follow those step-by-step instructions, and they can make sure we have something on file. So whenever there's a credit on their account, we would be able to return the funds to electronically to a bank account rather than mailing them a paper check and waiting for them to cash it. So at this point, that's my strong recommendation, is making sure your student goes in and actually sets up a bank account as a direct deposit opportunity so that we can get the funds seamlessly to the right people. And then kind of what I talked about a little bit before is kind of all over the place here, but CashNet has a lot of great features that we would like to just present to you. Once we send the fall bill, you will see a static snapshot of a physical bill. It'll show up under the statements section. So you'll see all of the tuition and fees minus all of the financial aid. It's a bill that's very comprehensive. It shows exactly what you owe. But there's also something called dynamic billing. So let's say after we bill, your student changes their classes and does something where there's kind of all over the place, there's stuff that changes. There's a feature in CashNet where you can actually see in real time what's happened since the bill went out. So that kind of helps in between bills when, let's say they changed their meal plan, they did something else, you would actually have the opportunity in CashNet, if you're an authorized payer, to be able to go in and see what has changed since the bill went out, which is really great. The next thing is for fall semester and spring semester, we do offer installment plans where the balance is due on August 10th. There is an opportunity to split up the balance. You have to enroll in the installment plan still by August 10th, but it'll give you the opportunity to split the balance into 4 equal payments. So August, September, October, and November, it'll break that balance up evenly over 4 months. So once we send the bill for fall, it'll go out July 15th. You have from July 15th until August 10th to enroll in that installment plan. It's all done on CashNet. You would click on the option for payment plans. It'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to set it up. The enrollment process entails agreeing to the terms and conditions, as well as making the first installment payment for August. So if you're not ready to make the payment, I would say wait to enroll in the installment plan until closer to August 10th when you actually are ready to pay for August. So installment plans, that's a great feature. It's all done electronically. You don't ever have to fill out documentation with us. You just do it on that CashNet site, but it is paramount that your student sets you up as an authorized payer. Otherwise, they're the only ones that can enroll in the payment plan. If you are enrolled in a payment plan and you don't want to have to remember to log in every month to pay, you can actually set up auto payments also. So you can put in your bank account or your credit card or your debit card to have it automatically hit your account each month, so you don't have to keep logging in to make payments. And like I mentioned earlier, with checking or credit cards, if you want to avoid the fee with a credit or a debit card, I would strongly recommend that you set up your electronic bank account, just your bank account number and the routing number, and there's no additional fee to do it that way. And then I basically already told you this, the 1098T tuition statements, we physically send a form out in the mail to the student's mailing address on file, but we also present 2 different versions electronically. One is in ZagWeb, that's only the students have access to that. But then in CashNet, we recently started displaying them as well. So students can view it there. And then if they've set up anyone else as an authorized payer, they can grant access so that people can actually view the 1098T electronically, which is the same exact form that we're mailing to you. So there's 3 different ways students can view it, which is great. Than we had before. We only had the physical mailed copy before. So this would give you a little more flexibility. If you're not in the same mailing address where your student is and you need a copy of it, they can grant you access and you can view it digitally. So it's kind of a lot of great features in CashNet, why I strongly recommend that they get you set up as an authorized payer right away. With that being said, I believe that's the end of my time with you here, but I will be around afterwards for questions once my buddy Louisa has her time. And
then there was the question about how do you set up 529 plans. Do you want to talk about that now or when I'm done?
Why don't we do, well, you can do it now. Okay, so the 529 account, it kind of differs by which plan you're using. I would strongly recommend that you reach out to them earlier to see how they recommend it. Some organizations, they prefer waiting for a physical bill before they, there is the CashNet payment plan, there's an enrollment fee, Louisa. Sorry if that's what they meant. Sorry, I'll do it. So the 529 plan, if they pay from a 529 plan, each one differs. So the strongly worded answer to that question is reach out right away and see what they would prefer. Because some would prefer that they actually get a tuition bill before they release funds. Some will release funds to you without a bill directly, or some require that they send the funds directly to us. It honestly, it varies by every single 529 plan. So I would recommend reaching out now to see what they need, to see how much you can pull, all of that stuff to make sure you understand how it works. But it's not, unfortunately, a cut and dry answer. It's make sure you follow up with them right away and make sure you have, I'm sorry, I'm reading all the comments while I'm doing this. So yeah, reach out to your 529 organization and see how they handle the disbursement of the funds, whether they can release it to the university, if they only release it to you and then you have to pay us, or if they need a copy of our fall statement before they'll release the funds at all. Let's see, can the authorized payer set up a bank account? No, the student is the only person that can enroll in direct deposit. So if they have a bank account, it's up to them to put in the bank account is all I'm going to say. So if they know your bank account and you'd prefer all refunds to come to you, then they would be responsible to put that bank account in CashNet as their direct deposit bank account on file. Will you address loan procedures? Yes, we will. Are there any additional fees involved with the installment plan? There's a $50 enrollment fee each semester. So for the 4-month plan for fall, there's a $50 fee. For 4 months for spring, there's a $50 fee. And then for summer, if your student decides to take summer classes because it is an optional semester, there's also a $50 enrollment fee. So that's the only fee. There's no interest as long as you're making the payments each month. There's no interest charged, but there is a $50 enrollment fee. And then on 529, yeah, we need Gonzaga ID number. Yeah, usually as long as you know everything about where to mail it to and who your student is, they'll just release the funds based on your own request. But 529s vary. So some like a physical form of the actual fall billing statement before they'll release funds from the account. But that's, like I said, that's kind of up to your plan directly. And then the FERPA form available in our office, there's actually, the FERPA form is all done with the registrar's office. So we would defer to them regarding the FERPA release. The only thing that we have, like I mentioned earlier, the authorized payer functionality. The authorized payer gives us the ability to talk to you about your students' billing, their tuition, and their account balance. So what we can talk to you about is everything that you see on the bill, basically. So we can talk to you about what's going on in their charges and everything. The FERPA release for student record questions, all that stuff is all done with the registrar's office. So unfortunately, that's not our area, and I think that's all the questions that I have related to me. So I'm going to turn it over now to Louisa.
Thank you, Sam. And sorry, everybody. Clearly, I've been on vacation for 2 days and have forgotten everything. So ignore everything I typed in chat. Oh my goodness. And Sam, can you leave the presentation up because I don't know how to share mine. I'm a mess. Anyway, so financial aid is going to be any of the scholarships, grants, loans, employment, combination of all of those things that your student is receiving as part of their financial aid package. In order to receive any type of financial aid, typically students do need to fill out a FAFSA form, and they're going to want to do that every year if you want to receive federal aid. Now, when a student is first admitted to Gonzaga, the admissions office looks at their grades and their transcripts and all of their accomplishments throughout their time in high school, and then will award them any kind of merit scholarship. And then that is part of what's called the Gonzaga guarantee. So a student is going to receive that funding that they are awarded from admissions all 4 years that they're at Gonzaga, as long as they maintain a 2.0 GPA and 12 credits per semester. You do not have to keep filling out the FAFSA each year to continue to get that funding. But if your student is receiving any federal or state aid, they do need to do that FAFSA form every year to be considered each year for those funds. The FAFSA is typically filled out in October, or that's when it becomes available. So that's usually when you're going to want to try to fill that out just so you get it in early. And then once we've put a student's financial aid award package together, we're going to send them student an email and refer them to ZagWeb to go online and accept or decline all of the offers that were made to them. There's also going to be oftentimes items that need to be completed by the student, because sometimes students are selected for this process called verification. And that's where the federal government tells us that we need to review documentations related to a family's income to finalize the FAFSA form. Essentially, we just have to make sure that what the student and family put on the FAFSA is accurate. And then you can see that information in ZagWeb under unsatisfied requirements or tracking item requirements. There's going to be something that says requirements. So look for that and make sure you've done everything. Also, if a student is borrowing a loan for the first time in their name, they will be required to do entrance counseling and a promissory note. And we send emails to students letting them know if they need to do that and providing instructions. So you haven't done it yet, no biggie. You're going to get an email from us with those instructions. And also parents oftentimes will borrow a parent loan in their name to use toward a student's tuition cost. And if a parent wants to do that, they would apply for that loan at studentaid.gov and they would log in as themselves, meaning logging in as the parent. And then they're going to list the student name when it asks for who the student is. And then when we get that, we will add that to the student's information on ZagWeb so that you can view all of that information. And then if you at any point in time decide as a parent that you are borrowing too much or you want to increase that loan, we can do that for you by just having you email us to the finaid@gonzaga.edu email. And then we can increase that plus loan up or down depending upon how much room a student has in their cost of attendance. So don't feel locked in if you applied for the loan and you get your bill and you realize, oh my gosh, I don't need this much loan money. Just contact us and we can reduce that. Or opposite is true. You get that billing statement and you realize, oh, we need additional funds to cover. You can email us and we can increase that parent plus loan in your name if you've applied. There is not really a deadline to accept or decline your financial aid, but I would say you would want to do it sooner rather than later, just so that you can see all of the financial aid options on that billing statement. If you don't do it before the bill goes out, that initial bill goes out, it won't be reflected. And I think that's it for that slide. And some of you may have received student employment as part of your financial aid offer. And I would recommend looking at ZagWeb if you're not sure if you have that, but this is the opportunity to work as part of a work study program. And this is going to be either off campus or on campus. And information is going to be emailed to students later on this summer once the job listing board becomes available. Usually that's going to be in late July. And then if a student has federal work study, they're going to need to bring original physical documentation to show their eligibility. So this is going to be like a passport, driver's license, birth certificate. Those are just a couple of the things. When you get that email in July, it's going to provide more information there. And we recommend, if at all possible, and a student has work study as part of their financial aid offer, or even if they don't, there are some non-work study positions that the university has also. Those are called institutional. But we recommend anytime a student can to work while they're on campus, just because there are so many benefits to it. And I think, and just watch for that email. And then also we would recommend that you please visit our website for more information. Check ZagWeb, have your student log in, look to see what their financial aid offer is, make sure you've accepted it, look for any outstanding requirements, then also just watch the Gonzaga email account, because that's where we're going to be contacting students to let them know of any items we still need information on.
Awesome. Thanks, Louisa.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That was an amazing presentation by Samantha and Louisa. I believe that we got through all of the questions that were currently in the chat. So if you guys have any follow-up questions, go ahead and put them down there right now. But just to remind you guys, if you got in a little late, we are recording this session and it will be posted to our communications portal by the end of the week, hopefully. But yes, any follow-up questions, go ahead and put that in the chat.
Sorry for the blur, but I'll put our contact information too, in case that helps.
Okay. All right, so we got one question coming in. Will the students need to go to the student employment website, even if they don't have work study as part of their financial aid award?
They don't, unless they want to look for an institutional position. Then we would recommend that they go to that student employment website to look for any non-work study positions that may be available for them to apply.
Awesome. Next question. Can we repeat the criteria for the Gonzaga guarantee and keeping that in place throughout the 4 years?
Sure. So to keep the Gonzaga funding as part of the guarantee, they must maintain a 2.0 GPA and at least 12 credits per semester.
Perfect. Next question. If the student has scholarships, what address should they be sent to, or can we apply them to the account electronically?
So it depends on the organization. Some send it through a wire transfer directly to the university, but most just prefer to mail a physical check. And if that's the case, we don't have the address on here, but it'll be on the bill that we send you for fall, but it's 502 East Boone Avenue, which is the main Gonzaga University mailing address. So as long as it goes there, and then it's Spokane, Washington, zip is 99258-0082. So if you can put that in there for the zip code, and I can type it here as well, but that is our specific mailing address, and we get all payments for tuition and everything. So if we get a scholarship payment, we'll make sure it's applied to their student account. So especially if we get it before the fall bill goes out, it'll be reflective on your bill that we've received that scholarship.
Perfect. And then we do have a request to just do an overview of the 529 payments again, and what that looks like depending on the plan.
Perfect. Well, it's not cut and dry by any means, so I apologize for the very vague answers that I can provide you, but 529 organizations or plans, they differ for every single one of them. So what we usually recommend is when you get your fall billing statement, there's a few payment arrangement options. One of them is payment in full. That is, you're going to pay, everything's good. I want to pay by the deadline, which is August 10th. So if you can get in touch with your 529 organization after we bill and see how they are able to send the funds, it may be something where they have to send you the funds as a check. It may be a delay, like it's going to take a couple weeks before we can get you the funds. If that's the case, if there's any reason that you guys can't pay by the deadline, we will have an option to defer. So if there's something where the 529 needs a bunch of information from you before they'll actually start releasing funds, we will give you an option to defer the deadline from August 10th until August, I don't have that number right in front of me, but it's the end of August. So it's like the first week of the fall semester, last week of August. So we give you a couple extra weeks to kind of coordinate, especially for fall where it's brand new for everybody. We give you a little more time to figure that out. So 529s, I would recommend either going to their website if they have one or reaching out to them right away and see how you pull funds from your account, because most of the time it's different every time. And they will usually send the funds directly to us as a check. So you go on their website, requested the amount, and they'll send it directly to us. They just need to know what mailing address to send it to and your student's account number. But I've seen it also where they release the funds to directly to you, at which point you would get the money and deposit it and then mail us a check, or you could certainly just pay online through CashNet. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Samantha. The next question, when will the loan agreement or counseling emails come out for those that are the first time appliers for loans?
Well, we started working on that late last week, and then I would say that I will probably email those out to you within the next 2 weeks. So just be watching your email for that. It'll be in ZagWeb. And then you can also go to studentaid.gov if you wanted to be proactive and just do it yourself. So studentaid.gov, and then the items that typically need completed are the entrance counseling and the master promissory note.
Awesome. Is it too late to add Gonzaga to my daughter's FAFSA application? She originally chose an out-of-state school and only listed that school on her FAFSA app.
It is definitely not too late. You would just go out to studentaid.gov and then make a correction to that FAFSA and add Gonzaga to it. Our school code is 003778. And then if you do that, like today or tomorrow, it usually takes a couple days for it to then get to us.
Some next question, is the loan amount included in the financial aid offer the maximum they can borrow, or are they eligible for additional student loans, or are parents the only ones who can borrow additional funds?
Typically, we will offer the maximum a student is eligible to borrow on the financial aid offer, and that is based on their grade level. So a student who's considered a freshman at Gonzaga would be offered up to $5,500. A sophomore can get up to 6,500, and juniors and seniors can get up to 7,500 in federal loans in their name. If they wanted to borrow a loan in their name in addition to that, they can apply for a private loan through a lending agency of their choice. Typically, these are going to be based on credit. So oftentimes the parent has to co-sign or a family member has to co-sign in order for the student to receive that loan in their name. Repayment on private loans is going to be completely dependent upon the lending agency that you guys go through. There's a website called Elm Select, and that's ELM, like the tree, select.com. That is a good starting point to look for any private loan lenders. And I'll put that in the chat. And that's actually a correct chat for me. So
Perfect. Okie dokie. Next question. Are parents and families able to verify that you guys received any outside scholarship funds?
So when we physically receive a check, we haven't posted any yet for fall, but we will be posting them within the next 2 weeks. I don't know that we have that many yet, but we can certainly, if you wanted to send us an email, studentaccounts@gonzaga.edu, we can verify if we've received it yet. Otherwise, when we send the bill for fall, it'll be included up on top as a credit. And on that dynamic billing feature in CashNet, you'll actually see a line-by-line counting. It'll show you all the payments we've received to date, et cetera. So it'll give you a little more clarity about what has been received so far.
Fantastic. And then we do have a couple of questions about the recording of this presentation. I said it'd be sent out in our communications portal. This just means that you'll get an email with a link to the recording after we have it posted. You can also log in to your Gonzaga Parent and Family Experience account. If you haven't done that, you can go ahead and email me at families@gonzaga.edu. I'm putting that in the chat and we can help you get set up in that communications portal. Okay, next question. What is the bank routing number to electronically send Gonzaga the 529 money?
Perfect. Well, in terms of the 529 money, if they're sending the 529 plan is sending the funds directly to you, we would recommend that you just pay through the CashNet site on your student's behalf. So if you have the funds in your own bank, just pay through electronically through that way. If the 529 organization wants to wire the funds to us, we can certainly give you that information. I would recommend that you send us an email, studentaccounts@gonzaga.edu, and we can provide you with the information about submitting that wire transfer to us.
Okay, next question has to do with FAFSA. If the assets in that application are updated, will that reflect an updated tuition payment? It says they had to include their 401k in their assets.
it wouldn't reflect an updated tuition payment, but it would affect the financial aid award offer. So I would recommend once you've updated that FAFSA form, give it a few days and then send an email to finaid@gonzaga.edu to just let us know that you updated your FAFSA form and ask for your financial aid to be reconsidered.
Perfect. And then we do have a lovely comment. Y'all don't look sweaty. How hot is it in Spokane today?
I think it's 108, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 108. I don't think it's there yet, but it's supposed to get up there.
I'm in a basement right now, so subterranean. So it's wonderful down here. It's great.
I'm at home and I have my AC cranked to 71.
But I think it's supposed to break soon. I think we're getting out of the 100s in the next couple of days, so that'll be good.
Yes. Okie dokie. We do have some more time. If you guys have any additional questions, you can go ahead and put those in the chat.
I think the big ones for sure, just to take away, is on our side especially, I have talked to a few students who obviously with the school year ending, they haven't really dived into looking at their Gonzaga email account yet. So ZagMail is very important that your student logs in and actually make sure they have their passwords set up and everything. If not, they might be missing out on a lot of information from the university, because as soon as they have a Gonzaga email, there's a lot of stuff going to that email account. So if they're supposed to be passing it on to someone else too, I would strongly recommend that you nudge them to keep updated and actually check in on that Gonzaga email as soon as possible. Especially as we get into July and August, that's going to be invaluable. how we actually communicate to students. So Gonzaga email, ZagMail account, that's the one that they need to make sure they have access to. And if they can't, or if they don't remember their password, our IT department's really great about getting that password reset for them. So just make sure they do that right away. And then the second most important thing on my side is to make sure if they're not the ones that are going to be responsible to view the bill or to move it on to somebody else, we would recommend that they set up an authorized payer account right away. And that is, if you go to our website, so if you go to gonzaga.edu/student accounts, we have instructions about how students set up authorized payers. So that's very good information, especially, like I said, if they're not the ones that are paying or passing the bill on to someone, they need to set someone else up with their own account so that they'll be notified when bills go out. And then if they need to make payments online, they're going to be able to grant you that access. So you can go in and pay on their behalf. So.
Perfect. And the first part of what you said there does answer the question, are communications going directly to students already? So like she said, end of July, middle of July to August, those will start going out to students for student financial services. I do know that housing has been sending communications to ZagMail accounts over the past month as well. Any chance parents can be added to the communication going to students? I'm worried about missing deadlines.
It kind of depends on the department. Like I said, if you're an authorized payer, you get notified every time we send a bill or when the 1098T is available. Like all those things, we're really good about sending that information out. We sent information along with admissions early on about how this billing process works and everything. So your student might have a lot of information stored up in their email account. They might be able to share with you as well. And then let's see, so the other stuff is there's a morning mail feature on campus. It is a live website. I think you can view it without being in My Gonzaga. I'm not sure about that. We might have to get back to you on that, but there is a morning mail. It's like a newsletter that we send out each morning. So it's a digital one that students get emailed to them, but it is a website. So you could actually subscribe to get that morning mail email as well. That's everything we tell the students as well. That's what the university sends to them about important things happening on campus, et cetera. So that's morning mail. If you go to Gonzaga's website and just in the search feature, type in morning mail, it'll link you to the morning mail site, and then you can subscribe if you'd like to get those emailed as well.
Morning mail won't be anything student specific. It's just for everybody. So for financial aid, I agree with Samantha. The most important thing is be checking that ZagMail account and then watching for any emails from us asking for additional information. And then I would also say again, to make sure that you guys log into ZagWeb and make sure you've accepted the financial aid offer and look for any outstanding requirements that are out there.
Additionally, for information going out to students, first year experience programs has also been sending newsletters out to students as well. So that would have been sent to their emails. Are there AC in the dorms? That's a housing question, but yes, there is AC in the dorms, and it doesn't usually get this hot here. Let's see, is CashNet linked to Bulldog Bucks?
So in a roundabout way, yes. CashNet, like I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, is kind of a huge presence here on campus. CashNet has different features. One is our site, which is for billing and payment for tuition. CashNet does also offer different clubs, departments, the opportunity to collect fees on their own. So for instance, I mentioned Kennel Club before. That's one that they collect their membership dues for that student group through a CashNet like site. So the only thing that you pay for on that site is that Kennel Club membership. They provide students with the link to that specific CashNet site. So that's all done through there. CashNet also has a site for Bulldog Bucks where you can load Bulldog Bucks. That is on the Bulldog Bucks website. I believe they have a different presentation, Anna. The office that maintains Bulldog Bucks is also the office that provides students with their ID card. So there's another presentation that'll give you a little bit more context about how to load funds into Bulldog Bucks. But Bulldog Bucks can be used for certain sites, like those department sites, to pay for different items that might be an optional tender. So if a student has, let's say, $100 in Bulldog Bucks and they want to buy a Kennel Club membership, there would be an opportunity to use their Bulldog Bucks to pay for that membership on that CashNet site. It doesn't hit their student account though. We don't accept Bulldog Bucks to pay on tuition, unfortunately. So, so CashNet is linked to Bulldog Bucks in the sense that you can load money into your Bulldog Bucks account on their dedicated site in CashNet, but there is a link on the Bulldog Bucks website. Yet again, if you go to gonzaga.edu, up in the search bar, type in Bulldog Bucks, it'll give you the instructions on how to load funds to Bulldog Bucks. And then from there, they can use the Bulldog Bucks to purchase stuff here on campus at the different dining institutions that accept Bulldog Bucks. There's little signs everywhere that say where they can use their Bulldog Bucks to pay for things. And then there are a few of the CashNet sites that do accept Bulldog Bucks to pay for stuff. So yeah, like club dues or different things, they can use their Bulldog Bucks online if they don't have a card or a checking account to pay for that. So
I also recommend using Bulldog Bucks to pay for textbooks.
Yeah.
If that's something your student wants to do, it's a big saver for money. Let's see here. Just a confirmation that the authorized payer account can be set up now in advance of the first bill.
We strongly recommend it, especially if you want to be notified when the bill's ready to view. We would say do it now. Have your student log in, set up whoever needs to be notified. They're going to get notified regardless. So no matter what, someone's getting alerted that the bill's ready to be viewed. It's just whether or not they're going to be the ones responsible to tell anybody else about the bill being available to view. So make sure they go on and set up the authorized payer now.
Perfect. And then we have a question about the chat, if that's going to be included with the recording. We'll see if I can get a transcription of the chat and make sure that's sent out with our recording as well. And then typically, do clubs have dues? It really depends on the club.
Yeah.
Kennel Club is the one that I know for sure, but it really does depend. Okay. Do we have any more questions for the chat? Or did we miss anything that you guys want us to go back over really quick?
And I guess just in an effort to not panic, I mean, even if you're not an authorized payer, by the time the bill goes out, the bill's still there. So even if you don't get notified when the bill's out, if they set you up after the fact, you can still log in and view the bill. It's just you're not going to get the email when the bill goes out. So don't panic if you're not set up by the time the bill goes out. I promise. The bill is still online. Your student still heard about it. And then they would just probably be a little more urgent to get you set up so that you can go in and actually look at the bill they just got. But yes, you can get it set up right now. So that's my 2 cents is check their email and set you up as an authorized payer. That's my takeaway. Make sure your students do that.
Okay. Well, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and hang around for a couple more minutes in case there are any last minute questions. But let's see. Can we set up auto pay now, or do we need to wait until the bill?
Unfortunately, you need to wait for the bill. So the auto pay is tied into the installment plan. So the only way you can set up auto payments is if you enroll in the installment plan for the fall, at which point when you've set it up and made your first August payment, it'll give you the opportunity to use that same account that you used to pay for August. Either you use that same one for your reoccurring payments, or you can enter a new bank account at that time. But yes, you unfortunately cannot enroll in auto pay until you are actually enrolled in the installment plan, which we will not turn on until we send the fall bills on July 15th. So.
Perfect. And then a quick follow-up to that, is all of this done through ZagWeb, or do they specifically go to CashNet?
Yes, so the student logs into CashNet through their Gonzaga ZagWeb account. So that's how the students get into CashNet. That ZagWeb kind of authenticates and does a bunch of stuff to verify they are who they say they are. The only way you can view CashNet is if the student goes in through ZagWeb to get to CashNet, they set up an authorized payer account where they put in your email address, and the system will email you a new like a username and a password so that you can log in and actually view the bills, set up the installment plan, do all of that. So really only the student has access to do anything until they grant authorized payer access. So it's all done in CashNet. The only way to get to CashNet though, the student goes in through ZagWeb. So the student gets in through ZagWeb to get to CashNet. The parents, if they have an account set up by the student, would go directly to a CashNet site. and they will give you the system emails you the direct link, so you don't have to go through their Gonzaga account. You only go into CashNet if you're an authorized payer.
And then another follow-up to that, can there be more than one authorized user?
There can, yep. And like I mentioned earlier too, that was something that comes up is maybe there's someone that's willing to help the first year. It's like a family friend that's offering to help pay tuition. So they only want to know about your stuff the first year. The second year, if they don't need to know anymore, the student can go in and rescind that access, so they can turn it off if they don't need to be notified anymore. So there can be multiple people. So mom, dad, grandma, next door neighbor, uncle, aunt, whoever wants to pay on your account, you can set them up with an account. So.
Well, that's all that I have in the chat at the moment for questions. Let's give it two more minutes just to make sure we catch everything. But I'm going to go ahead and say that's the official end of our first ZagTalk 101 presentation of the summer. Our next one will be July 14th with campus security and public safety, once again happening at the noon hour on that date. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just close out the presentation now.
Okay, perfect.